Hey now, and how are you doing? Want to welcome you to the next episode of Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat. Man, we're gonna bring somebody from over the pond, in the Netherlands. We're gonna bring my friend Sylvia back, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about leadership and so many more things about working in high performance environments. Because no matter where we work, there's a lot of stress, right? Today's world is not getting any less stressful, it's getting more stressful. And Sylvia is an expert on helping us reduce and perform in the right ways. How are you doing today, Sylvia?
Everything is great. Thank you. What about you?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. It's a little warm here, but it's okay. We'll get through it. Okay. So before we start, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and then we'll start the episode.
Yeah, of course. I'm Italian. I'm a dressage Grand Prix rider, international professional rider. I moved to Germany and then to the Netherlands, and I ride in a high elite sport environment. And I've done also my company, which I run together, with the horses. While I do horses, I also do live branding project and live coaching, and I develop a project about fashion and sport brands. So here I am.
Yeah, no. Well, that was one of the things that I saw about the horseback riding. How'd you get into the horseback riding? But then we'll go into how it applies to your work because I know how it does, how it does.
Oh, well, it was, I was doing in my life all the kind of sports, and horse riding was one of them. And I really like animals, so it was something that just came out really natural. I didn't expect it was going to be something that I could live with and I could turn in my work, but the passion was there, and I really worked hard, and I wanted to be good in what I'm doing, and so yeah, it became my work, my primary job.
Yeah, right. But it's always great when there's that old saying when you find something that you're very passionate about and you could do that for your profession, then it doesn't become work. It becomes really who you are.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel privileged and yeah, because I turn my passion into my work. So I can't really say that, I have to go to work. It's a pleasure for me. Every time I wake up in the morning, I'm head stable to my horses, and I split my day in a part with the horses, a part in the office. And I have to be honest that the part with the horses is the best ever.
Yeah. Isn't it incredible? I've been trained to be an equine therapist, right? So to help out with equine therapy. And isn't it amazing when you look in the eyes of a being, right? They're sentient beings. There's thoughts, there's life, there's a soul there. How does that,
Yeah.
you know, how does that help ground you?
You know, the connection you build with I can say any kind of animal. I can speak, of course, about horses because it's my primary animal that I
Sure.
work with, but it's the same also with the dogs. And despite the fact that, dogs can be really little, we have horses that are 700, 800 kilos.
Yep.
And but still you build a connection, and it's quite difficult, I think, for someone that is not really involved with horses to believe and to understand that you can build such a great connection. But it's I normally make an example because people never think about the fact we are dealing with animals that they don't talk.
Yeah.
We ride animals that have, fears. They can be under stress. They can be happy and joyful. And it's our duty to transmit them our emotions as well. And we do together something that can be great. So it's really important the connection that we build with our animals, with horses in this case.
Right. And it's also, I mean, similar, right? We wouldn't call clients animals, but it's the same type of thing. It's that trust and knowing behind
Yeah.
all that type of thinking, because that's how, and that was how I thought we'd talk about how those blend in, how all of this blends in to help growth.
The fact that I, I, I have to deal with the animals, so they don't talk. They taught me how to handle and how to relate with people as well,
Hmm.
because you have to understand people beforehand. When I deal with people, I really like every time to understand the kind of people I have in front of me, and so I can adapt myself to the person I have in front of me, so I can understand um, which are the expectations, which are the way in which I can approach these people. I can talk to people in a different way because we are all different and we react to life in a different ways. And this is something that I've learned thanks to the horses. So uh, it's quite important for me to understand quickly
Hmm.
uh, the new situation I have in front of me and adapt myself to it.
Yeah, in some ways, it's easier to work with the horses because they communicate. Right? They communicate in a way you don't have to figure out what they mean. They know, Whereas human
Yeah.
beings, right? We might tell you something, but we really mean something deeper.
Yes. Yes. I agree.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I know you're an expert for is leadership under pressure. How, my guess is you started learning some of that through the competitions that you were in. I've been there with one of my blended daughters that being in part of those competitions, it gets, the first round is less pressure, and the higher levels you go up in leadership as well as horseback riding, the pressure starts getting to you and the expectations are that much more. How does working under pressure, you know, how do you suggest people to manage some of that pressure?
Yeah. Well, I do believe that pressure is not an enemy. And this is why I always don't consider it as an enemy. I constantly live under pressure. If you think about, as I said, in pressure is always there in sport, in life, in business. So it's something we can't avoid. And I do believe that as soon as we start to treat pressure as something part of ourselves, we don't have to be afraid of it. The important thing is that you don't react emotionally to it. You just stay focused on which is your goal, which is your the goal that you want to reach. And as I said, I really don't care about the pressure. It's something that it's making me more focused. Every time that I ride horses, I ride bikes, and they are both quite dangerous. It's really important that I stay focused on what I do. And some decision has to be taken really in seconds. So I don't have time to think about pressure or something that is uh, worrying me. So pressure is there, but I don't allow it to make me feeling worried or create a problem. Pressure is always there.
Right. So you recognize that the pressure is always there, and
Yeah,
but you don't let it distract you, right? It's keeping
right.
that focus on as much as possible, because
Yeah,
when decisions are made, it's not theory, right? It's much like riding the horse. Is You have to make it in real time. You can't go, well, in a book, this is how they taught me. It's real time thinking it with
Yeah,
leadership.
yeah, that's true. And there are decisions that has to be taken in seconds. So you
Mm.
don't have time to think about. But as soon as you have a clear way of training or in business, as soon as you have a clear structure, when I talk about structure, is something that I create over time, and we all have it. It's something that is done by our values, our fundamentals, our experiences, our mistakes. So we put everything we are, the way in which we normally um, deliver a project, make our decisions and everything. So anytime there is pressure is coming in or a decision has to be taken, we don't have to think about, oh, what I have to do, but it's something that is natural. It's our way of being. It's something we have deeply inside. So this is the structure that I was talking about, and it's something I can rely on anytime I have to make a decision, quick decision, or if I have the luxury of being able to think about it for a bit then seconds, then yeah, anyway, it doesn't change because I still have my structure, which is always the same.
So, as you make the decisions, I mean, we're going to make errors. That we're human people, and even an animal, right? An animal could be, led to a certain way. How do we deal with error without losing credibility or authority?
This is a good point because, all human. We all make mistakes. Don't see the first mistake as a problem. The problem is how we respond to it. There, it's the difference. Because the first mistake is something that we can just put in our box as a lesson. So we can just reset ourselves, changing direction, taking something that we have learned from that mistake and move forward. But if we allow emotions to come in, so it's only, done something that is going to protect our ego, blame the situation, blame someone else, or just giving more explanations than just it's overdue. But there, if you allow emotions coming in, then you run into the second mistake, and there it's where you lose credibility.
Mm.
Because if you are stable, your structure is stable, the credibility is not lost for a mistake. Absolutely, we
Right.
can all make mistakes, but we have to recognize that. The important thing is to recognize that we have done a mistake and move forward. Because if we, as I said, continue, keep going on protect our ego, then we will never find a way out. And there it's where you're going to lose credibility.
Yeah, right. Because it's also holding that accountability as well. Saying I made a mistake and then learning from that mistake to move on.
Yes, right.
Okay. And so, what's the biggest one of the biggest differences? Because we've been blending it. What's the biggest difference between you see between leadership in elite sports and leadership in business?
They are completely the same. They mix match perfectly because it's they're both in high environments where the stakes are high and you have to take decisions. Everything is running perfectly together, and I'm thankful, as I said, to my sport that I could develop and growing up my company because everything is completely the same. You want to be good in the results that you produce. So it's in sport and in your business. And this is something, I am I don't want to deliver a good results both in sport to do something memorable. So anytime I fix a goal, I just put all myself and I just go forward and I adapt, obviously, as I said, myself to the new circumstances, both in sport and in business. It's exactly the same.
Yeah, so it's interchangeable. Um, yeah, because as we do it, we kind of learn through some of those mistakes, those challenges. You have to recognize the pressure, the things. But like when riding a horse, you have to also have that vision. You know, you don't just ride blindly. You're actually telling the horse which way to turn by positioning yourself in the right way. You know, you have to see that vision. If you want to turn, you have to turn your head first before the horse does. How do we do that in business to make sure that the people who are leading see the vision that we're going through?
This is something that is, in my point of view, it's really important because if you don't look forward, you are not going to step up. You have always, when you are dealing with, customers or yeah, clients, you have always to look forward. So you have one goal, but then on the side of your mind, you have already something that it's making you looking at something more. So you have only not only to see the goal that you want to reach, you have to see the benefits, the um, new opportunities that you can meet during the path in order to get the goal. So you have always to be like really focus and pay a lot of attention and being able to look further. That's really important. So yes, it's like when you ride the horse, when you ride the bike, you have always to look forward and look where you want to go. But you don't look only straight in front of you there. You always look up and forward. So for me, it's exactly the same with the horses in sport and in business.
Yeah. And you know, even when we're able to see, how do we have people then who follow us, right? As a leader, you could be a leader just by saying that, but you need to have the people follow you, or at least see the vision that you're taking them to, or the goal, how to get to that goal.
We are all different, as I said. You have to be able to understand the people that you have in front of you. Someone needs more explanations. Someone else is just more quick to
Hmm.
go to the point by themselves. Some maybe needs a little help to be on the right path. But what I'm doing, I never push anyone. I really like that any team, any member of my team can see their values by themselves. So I can show them the results that they can obtain. And during the way, I can, if necessary, I can help them. But the important thing is that we have all must have all the same idea of the end. So the goal has to be the same. So it has to be a memorable thing, memorable way to work, then has to be done and be shared by all of them, all of us.
Right.
Otherwise, it's something that only one member is thinking in this way, the other are just like, okay, I'll wait that the other are working, then it's all working. So you can give the motivation, but I don't really believe that motivation is something solid, and I prefer long-lasting thing. So this is why I don't believe that motivational speeches are working because they're just temporary. So also, if you have someone in the team that is motivated just only for few seconds, few ideas, it's not going to last long. And in my vision, in my point of view, I always want to level up in anything I'm doing, and I want to deliver always a good result. So this is why I always try to explain my point of view, and yeah, to let them decide if they want to come and be part of the team or not.
Well, so how do you work with the people that want to be part of it, that's the easy, right? Those are the easy people. How do you
Yeah.
work with people when they don't see the vision, when
Yeah.
they're not motivated, whatever, everybody has different motivations, but when they don't see the vision, but they have to be part of the team, right? Is either that or they can leave the company, right?
Yeah, right. Yes, I had this experience, and I just see it as a pity because maybe they can't see further.
Mm,
So here we go back to the talk we had before. Um, they don't allow themselves to see a little bit further than their nose,
yeah,
and that's a pity. Also, because in that case, I believe they are losing opportunities, possibilities, and yeah, maybe something great in front of them. Maybe I'm wrong, but I have always
well,
this spirit that I always want to try something. Life is only one, so any opportunities is coming in front of me. I'm trying to jump on that train because uh, we don't know if this train will pass again,
right.
and we don't know for how long the train stays in the train station. So anytime I see someone that is hesitating or is saying yes, yes, and then it's like postponing, then you know it's not really my own thing if they don't want to succeed in their life. But of course, if it's affecting the result of my team, of the project or something, it's necessary to have a talk and discuss the way if they want to continue or not. But I don't believe that if someone prefers just to stay in the comfort zone and never try or risk a little bit just to level up, I don't think that anything to do because it's something that they have them inside themselves.
Yep. No, 100%. And that's there's people on the team who aren't gonna, you know, they're just gonna be there for the ride, using your train metaphor. And those are the people you just have to make sure that they don't, you know, touch the tracks. Don't distract us from our
Yeah.
ultimate goal. Now, sometimes with teams, pressure can improve performance. Do you think that's correct?
In my case, yes. But as I said, we are all different. So for me, pressure is something that gives me more motivation.
Hmm.
For someone else, it's something that can bring them out of their comfort zone. And here, emotions are coming in, so fears and whatever. So they just wait and step backwards.
Hmm.
This is why I said from the beginning, it's pressure is always there.
Yep.
Is there, in relationship, in family, in business, in sport, pressure is always there. Just only if we lie on the couch for the rest of our life, there is no pressure. But doesn't exist anyone that can lie on the couch for the rest of their life.
Right.
So anytime you step out of the door, of course there is pressure. Pressure is always there. For depends the stage of pressure, but for me the pressure can be felt really high, and for someone else it's just a little bit, and then the chaos and the panic comes in, and then everything is just messed up. And so this is why I said it's really important that pressure has not to be considered as an enemy because it's always there in our life.
What role? So, how you're explaining it is, everybody's a little different. So, how does your personal identity play a role in the performance, especially when things don't go as planned?
And this is the way in which, especially when things doesn't go as planned, we just reveal who we are really. So this is the way I said that I rely on my structure because I don't have fear because it's rarely going like I planned or I wish anything. We can't predict future. We can't have all the information if something to be well or not. So we have always to take a dose of risk, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and we all have to accept the fact that we will never have all the certainties and all the informations. Anytime we make decision, we can't have all the data. It's impossible. So there is where your personality, your character, showing if you are stable enough, if your credibility is there. So when things doesn't go as planned, if you are stable enough, if your values are there, then it's not a problem.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, that's why you have to risk well. I call it risk well, in that
Yeah,
you might not have some information, but you still have to jump. You know,
yeah,
you know,
yes,
getting as much of the information, right? It's important to still gather all the information, but at some point, you don't know. There's no 100% guarantees in anything in life.
no, no, never.
From your experience, what separates people who can handle the responsibilities well and those who look to avoid it?
Mm. Well, this is something, there is not a separation because we all have to face responsibilities. We all have to carry responsibilities. So even though there are people that are trying to escape to this, there is a certain moment, a certain point that they are coming out. The responsibility will knock at the door and say, "Hey, I'm here." So it's not possible to run away from responsibilities because there is, for sure, one moment of our life in which they are going to present the bill because we all have to accept and carry the weight of our responsibility, which can be decisions, we can be anything in our life, not only in sport, business. So we have always to take in considerations that it's something natural, like pressure that is living with us. We have to carry the responsibilities. We have to face responsibilities. We can't run out from this. Absolutely, that's not an option.
Right. And well, what I always say is when you make you can make you're making a decision either way, either by doing the work or by stepping back and not taking the responsibility. You've still made a decision, and you when you avoid.
Exactly, always.
Yep, yep. When you avoid it, it doesn't make it go away. It just makes you avoid it to have to deal with it later, which is generally not the healthiest way to go. Now,
No, also because I said sooner or later,
yep,
it's coming out. So also not responding when, someone is not responding. Also, that is a decision. That is a response, but doesn't create less problems. Can create more problems also because the situation can shift. Everything else is moving forward. So not responding maybe is creating issues for someone else, but also to the person that doesn't respond, doesn't decide, then it's creating for sure problems which will probably arrive later. And yeah, responding is also a response. So running away from responsibility is also a way of avoiding something, but sooner or later everything is coming.
yep. You always got to face it. Now, you know, a lot of leaders, you know, feel that control is the way that they lead, right? They have to be in control of everything. And then there's other people who can adapt really well. What should leaders think about, you know, finding the right blend for them in the high stakes environments?
Uh, Well, as I said, I think that uh, we are all different, and what is important, in my opinion, is being able to adapt yourself to the new situations. So anytime you can recognize that you need to change direction, you need to change decision, you need to adapt yourself to something new, and you recognize it quickly enough, then it's not a problem just to move forward. So yes, adapting yourself is something really that we should all consider something normal. And anytime we make a decision, as we were talking before, we have always to take in consideration a little dose of risk, the fact that we will never have all the informations,
Right.
and also the conception of the trade-off. Because anytime we take a decision, it's important that we accept the fact that taking a decision brings us to be focused on something, so we have to postpone or leave something else. So it's also important, the idea of the trade-off.
Through your experience, what's one misconception about high performance that actually hurts leaders?
Mm, well, if you don't allow emotion to come in, you can't get hurt.
Mm, right. So,
Because anytime you let the emotions come in, then mm, you lose the focus. You
mm,
lose, yeah. I can't really see something that, I mean, okay, if we are talking humanly, yes, but that's something I have to deal with myself in another moment, not when I'm working or
yeah, yeah,
when I'm with someone, when I'm in a meeting.
yeah. You have to always have that self control, and then recognizing that, right? That self awareness to recognize
Yeah,
what's going on, but keeping your focus solid.
yes, that is what I think that when under pressure, when the situation is escalating, and then it's only revealing who you are.
Mm,
So if your character is stable enough, then it's okay.
yeah. Now, as we get closer to the end of the episode, I have people walking into my magic garden to plant a seed of knowledge or advice. What seed might you give us today? You've already given us a lot of information before, but what other seed might you want to share with people?
I would only recommend to use all the experiences that we all had in our life, the mistakes that we had in our life, and our values, our fundamentals, our way of being, put everything together like in a box and create our structure. In this way, we can rely on it anytime it's necessary without letting emotions coming in. And so I think that this is something really useful for any of us.
Yeah, definitely knowing this planning is part of leadership. To plan properly to make sure that you're on, and as you mentioned earlier, the ability to not only see the goal line, but also to recognize when you might be a little bit off and has to readjust based on that adaptability.
Yeah.
Okay. How can everybody find you?
On my website, which is hofmarabuntablog.com, on LinkedIn, and also on Instagram.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for this. This has been such a helpful episode. I definitely have learned a lot of things, and I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much for your invitation. It was really an honor to be here for me.
Thank you. And for everybody, I know you gained some value here today, and I hope you have a life that is the foundation of peace and love in your life, what that means for you. And then when you bring your bat, bring some awesome thoughts like Sylvia did today. And I appreciate it, and I hope you hit your sweet spot. Thank you so much.